Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored Never Boring. I'm keeping things quick today because I am thoroughly unwell and I'm not sure how long my voice is going to last, but I wanted to make sure I had a little video for you all today. Once again, we are looking at something from Masters of the Universe Battleground by Archon Studio. This time it's the Hordak on Mantisaur promo piece. Archon created this for prizes at tournaments, but as with the previous prizes, Battlecat and Panther, they made the wise choice to also give fans an opportunity to buy these exclusive pieces direct from their website. I don't like exclusives at all, and I would prefer everything to make it to regular retail channels, but I can accept this as a happy medium. So this is Hordak, the master of the evil horde, on his ridiculous mount, Mantisaur. Inside the box you are getting the miniature itself, and this looks very nice. It's in the same red colour as the Evil Horde characters from the Power of the Evil Horde expansion, and it has good detailing. As with the previous Hordak miniature, he is using his arm cannon. I think I would have liked to see him with two hands, but that's okay. Overall, no real complaints. I'm not going to spend any longer looking at him now, because I will build him at the end of the video. Next we have a separate hex base. This is something Archon do for all of the larger sized miniatures. They are sculpted on round bases, and then you place them on the hex base when you want to play Battleground. It would be easy enough to use some magnets to easily switch between the round and hex base if you wanted to. Finally, there are character cards in multiple languages. Note there are no build instructions in the box, they are all online. This is something Archon Studio do from time to time. Most recently I noticed it with the Dungeons & Lasers Encounters crowdfunding campaign. I guess it keeps down the amount of paper they are using. I'm okay with that. Anyway, let's take a closer look at Hordak's abilities and compare him to Hordak from the Wave 4 Evil Horde expansion box. This version of him weighs in at 30 points. That's the same as He-Man on Battlecat and 2 points less than Skeletor on Panther. Now, the designer has explained that they purposefully overcost these promo characters. I assume this is to make them less viable for a competitive tournament game, and therefore anybody with the rare promo isn't at an advantage over someone who doesn't have it. In a casual game at home, what's a few extra points between friends? So these stats are a little chunkier as you would expect. We have 7 health instead of 5, perception, toughness and mind are all the same at 3 and 4. Surprisingly, speed is also the same at 5 and 8, although I guess the special movement rules for large monsters offsets that and allows the Mantisaur to cover more ground. Then we have power and strength at 4 compared to just 3. However, remember that the foot-slogging Hordak has an ability that allows him to buff his strength and power by up to 3 points as allies are defeated, while Hordak on Mantisaur doesn't. Our new special abilities are insanely good. Radio communication allows all of your wraiths and troopers to use Hordak's equipped trinket like it was their own. That means if you take a full complement of 2 wraiths and 2 troopers, you are getting 5 trinkets for the price of 1. This is the first time that a rule has broken the restriction that states you aren't allowed duplicates of any equipment in your force, and it breaks that restriction with style. I'm imagining giving Hordak something like the Book of Living Spells that increases his maximum mana from 5 to 7. Suddenly, most of your units are going to be able to hold up to 7 mana. However, do note that you aren't getting 5 of the item. Hordak gets the item and the other units get to use it. That's an important distinction because if the item is disposable, it can still only be used once. Furthermore, it doesn't take up a slot on your trooper and wraith units, so they can still equip their own trinkets if they want to. Moving on, the second ability is 1000 Cuts. This is Mantisaur's attack. You test strength against the toughness of all enemies within 2 hexes, and on a success inflict 1 wound. A great way to whittle down large numbers of foes. Looking at the back of the card, Hordak still has his energy cannon, which is a decent ranged weapon, and he has all the same equipment slots as the previous version, although he's only allowed to take 1 trinket. Considering his radio communication ability, that makes perfect sense. But unfortunately, I don't think this was thought through all that well. Hordak has an armor slot, which means he can take a weapon holster, which means he can take an additional trinket. That means all of your troopers and wraiths gain access to 2 trinkets instead of 1. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's broken. They may have to nerf that for tournament games, and I think for casual games with friends you need to make an agreement not to use the weapon holster in that way. And there we have it. Overall, I'm a little bit concerned about this character. I think the radio communication special ability is overpowered. Furthermore, it feels like we are seeing more rules that railroad the creation of an Evil Horde team. if you take the Mantisaur, you are absolutely going to want to take as many Endless Horde units as possible to maximise the effectiveness of the radio communications. But let's put this thing together. Okay, so here is Hordak and Mantisaur fully assembled. It's nicely detailed and it's a good size, it looks suitably imposing on the battlefield, and I guess it looks kinda cool in a very silly sort of way. It's far from my favourite sculpt in the range though. In terms of assembly, it went together pretty well, but there were a few minor issues. My biggest complaint is some of the connectors were in weird places that were difficult to cut. In particular, there were connectors on the top of the front part of the saddle, and when I snipped the connector off, I accidentally removed a fine ridge on that part of the miniature that I'm going to have to build up with a little green stuff. Also, as with Hordak in the Power of the Evil Horde expansion, his gun had a little donut piece that fitted over the end to create the recessed barrel, and that was fiddly to work with. Finally, you will notice I haven't attached the base, that's just to make it easier to paint later on. And so, yeah, it's a nice piece, but this is probably the first time I haven't been ecstatic with a Battleground purchase. The wonky special abilities for this version of Hordak, along with a miniature that isn't one of my favourites, means I'm not sure how often I am going to use this in my games. Don't get me wrong, I do like it and I'm happy with it, just not as happy as I probably could have been. But that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.